All right, everybody. I'm very excited because I have my queen of health insurance with me today, Miss Jenn Hagar of the Sandbrook Group, and she is going to answer some very important questions for us. So, Jenn, thanks for taking time out of enrollment season to be with us today.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
Angel points. May enrollment season be kind to you.
Yes, yes, it's my favorite time of year. It really is.
Next to
We go
Christmas.
into the end of the year, but Christmas is in enrollment. I feel like that's a thing.
Well, we are in enrollment. I know people have a lot of questions about healthcare this time of year. So, despite you being very busy, I thought this was the perfect opportunity to answer some questions. And as always, I've got my list right in front of me. So, I make sure I ask everything that I want to ask. The first thing is, a lot of people either want health insurance for themselves or they want to be able to offer it as a benefit. The one thing that consistently comes up is cost. Now, I know that there are a lot of programs that exist now that didn't even exist, 5 years ago, and that's really changed the affordability game for a lot of people. What's one of your favorite options right now that didn't exist in the past and it's a game changer for people now?
Yeah, I think that there's actually a couple of things that have happened that people may or may not have visibility to. One of the biggest ones is the Arizona Premium Tax Credit for small businesses.
Mm.
So if the small business has not offered health insurance previously as a group benefit or has not offered it in the last 6 months, there's money from Arizona that can help them put towards their employees' premiums to offset the employer cost for the first 3 years that they put a program in place.
And I believe you got one of my lucky clients connected with that fairly recently. And for the first time, their team has health insurance and they are really excited about it. And this did make it an affordable option for them.
Yeah, we were really excited. We've got a couple of people into the program this year. Well, a couple different teams. So overall, it impacts quite a few people. But the nice part about that is with it being able to renew for 3 years, it gives you that option of being able to help grow your team by providing those benefits that otherwise you might not have. And it's making the small businesses that are 20 or less employees a lot more competitive for attracting those employees. Um, it's one of the benefits everyone asks about is health insurance and how do you actually get that done? Working with a broker can really help you let you know about some of these programs that otherwise you might not know about.
And that does also bring to mind, actually, it's a perfect segue for my next question because it is a competitive job market. Health insurance remains like the top traditional benefit that people are looking for. What are some of the non-traditional benefits that are becoming more popular with job seekers that still fall kind of within the insurance spectrum or certainly within the benefit spectrum?
Yeah, benefits can be really tailored towards what you want to do. And a lot of it goes by the industry. So in the high tech industries, we're seeing a lot of things that go towards student loan repayment. There's actually benefits that you can do that have to do with childcare, even for smaller businesses, pet insurance or discount programs. That's one of my favorite benefits. I think it's great that because it really does apply to a lot of different types of people. The 401k has always been one of the top four.
Mhm.
Um, when we look at non-medical and non-health or insurance related. And then there's a lot of supplemental benefits. So I think it's really important to talk about some of these because you can build an entire benefit platform and an entire benefit offering without ever actually putting major medical in.
Hmm.
Um, like having some short-term products, short-term disability products or long-term disability, those different items, you can put those in place without putting in major medical. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Um, you can really tailor it towards what your company wants and also what you as a company want to represent. Like what's important to you, your benefits package says something about that.
Which is true. And I think Cost aside, one of the things that people don't always think about is how benefits reflect the values of the company, and company values speak very loudly to the millennial and Gen Z marketplace. And millennials are the largest living workforce. Gen Z is going to be, I think, 30% of the workforce by the end of the decade. So appealing to younger workers is a necessity if you want to keep your company relevant for the long term. So that value statement through benefits, I think, is doubly important.
Well, that, and also there's been a lot of research done as to what percentage of your actual compensation comes from benefits.
Yes.
So for a state job, I think the last stat I saw was around 33%. There's a little bit of a banding there, but 33% of your benefits, if you're working in a state or government job, or 33% of your compensation come from benefits in the form of you're going to get good health insurance. You're going to get certain things um, that come with that. And so people often are willing to take a lower pay rate. That being said, as you look at benefits platforms, just the dollar amount of what we're paying for someone for their services is often not enough. The benefits package goes into overall compensation.
Yes, and
So,
that is something, when you are interviewing someone or when you're doing a performance review, don't just focus on salary. You have to really spell out every line item and the value of every line item so they know total compensation equals this. Salary might not look so hot by comparison, but when you add everything in, you become a very competitive company. And I think that sometimes people undervalue the benefits that they're already offering, plus ways in which they could meaningfully supplement what they're already offering.
yeah, and I think it goes back to the culture. So there's so many ways that you can say what your company culture is, or you can say what it is, but what do your actions actually support?
Yes.
And your benefits platform and your benefits offerings speak towards whether or not you're truly supporting those things that you hold in high regard and high esteem. Like, can
Yes.
we make it happen? Like, what does it actually look like to walk into a plan where in 5 years you have everything in place that you wanted? It doesn't have to happen all at once.
Oh, that's a good point. Phasing things in, particularly as your team is growing.
Yeah, I talk about the building blocks of benefits, and I think one of the big struggles with smaller business is we can't do everything at once. I'm small business serving small business. We have to phase things in because then we have better attraction, we have better retention. And if you're not turning over employees and people are remaining because they are better paid or have the benefits that they need and find meaningful, then the company has the ability to grow. Um, Not every company wants to grow. Some people would like to stay solopreneurs. We work with them as well.
Mm-hmm.
But like if your ultimate goal is expansion, you have a different way forward with the benefits package. We really have to look at that and have that conversation for each individual business or where you want to go. It's not one size fits all. It's not cookie cutter.
So, what do you think, kind of with that in mind? I mean, first of all, it's important that people really understand the vision for their company and where they're taking it and where the benefits package and their employee retention plan kind of factors into their growth, right? So that also means that people may be undervaluing or underutilizing some of the things that they already have in place. Like what is something that people typically have access to, but they underutilize it, or they may not even know that it is part of a pretty common platform?
I think when it comes to major medical, I think one of the things that we're still underutilizing is telehealth.
Mm,
We have the ability to consume our healthcare in different ways, and it totally impacts the cost as to what our cost share is as consumers. Um, we got used to, I get sick, I go to the doctor,
yeah.
or I break my arm and I go to the ER. And that was how we consumed our healthcare. Now we have much more efficient ways that keep us out of the doctor or the ER in person, because when we go there, we're exposing ourselves to germs, but we're also taking time off work. There's a wait. So there's different ways that we can consume healthcare that will drive both efficiency of the healthcare system and also efficiency for our personal pocketbooks. I like to educate small businesses and companies on how healthcare works and what it looks like to be an educated consumer in that space. Like, I feel like that's a really underutilized benefit, and it does nothing but benefit the actual consumer itself.
Yeah, and it kind of like I started thinking similarly to, I got an opportunity many years ago to go to France, and I got a sinus infection while I was over there. And instead of, going to a doctor's office, you can go to a pharmacy, and there's just a certain level of
Mhm.
things that they're able to triage at the pharmacy and then prescribe medication for. And so you don't always, the doctor is more for serious diagnostics, or if you have to do an overall wellness check or run labs or anything like that. But if you have a cold, the flu, a sinus infection, just sort of your rudimentary stuff, you can go to the pharmacy and have that
Mhm.
taken care of. And so, telehealth sounds very similar to that. And you do have the added benefit of, you don't have to leave the house, which is sometimes really convenient.
Well, it's really nice when it's your kid. Your
Yeah,
child hasn't slept and they've had a horrible, horrible night and they had that ear infection for the fifth time.
yeah,
It's really nice to just be able to go through telehealth, and we've all gotten used to Zoom over the last couple of years.
yeah,
Uh, it makes it to where your lowered immune system is not exposed to additional fun things.
yeah,
Um, so I personally think that's a benefit I would like everyone to know about, but it also saves you time away from work. It saves you downtime. It saves you transportation time. A lot of us work from home now, and
yeah.
it's something that we can utilize um, in a different way.
Yeah, true. I mean, I love my doctor and I'm willing to schlep for her. She's a half an hour from my house. So round trip, I drive an hour to see her. If I can just jump online, tell her what's going on, she can send a prescription over the pharmacy and I just go down the street, pick up what I need and pop up back up home, like problem solved within minutes rather than hours. So that's a point very well taken. I
Well,
probably
that
need
and
to use that
also,
more.
well, we also have a shortage of primary care doctors. So how many times
Yeah.
have people been sick and they call their doctor and their doctor says, "I can't see you for 3 weeks."
Yeah,
And now we're going to urgent cares, or we're going to ERs, because of the fact that there's a wait.
yeah,
Uh, that's especially true in Tucson. Like, our population increased with U of A coming back to school, and it's going to increase again because it's getting colder in other parts of the states. And people come to Tucson as winter visitors, also known as snowbirds. Like, that means that puts more of a strain on the existing providers we have
during cold and flu season.
during cold and flu season,
Yeah,
during pneumonia season, during times when we already know that we're going to have an influx in need of care.
yeah.
So this is one way that you don't have to postpone or wait to be seen, which then often leads to things getting worse,
Hmm.
or you needing a higher level of care. And that again costs more money.
What is something that you wish people better understood about how health insurance works, just like in general?
I think health insurance gets a bad rap in some ways. Health insurance is meant, like, we want you to stay healthy. Like, health insurance is truly built with preventative needs coming in first, and early detection is prioritized because it's proven that if you can catch something early, treatment is much more effective and it reduces the cost, not just for the consumer, but also, yes, for the insurance company.
Mhm.
Health insurance doesn't make money off of being sick. Um, but I also, as a broker, don't make money off of your claims. Like, we are here to help you find the right policy, the right product to meet your needs. And our crystal ball only goes so far.
Yeah.
So That's one thing that's another thing I wish people knew. It costs nothing to work with a broker. So we go through a lot of training and a lot of different things that we learn about the plans or what's coming or the changes that are upcoming as to how the carriers are better adapting to the market. And it truly costs nothing to consult with us, to have us help you be put into a plan. So people always ask me, how much are you going to charge me? I'm not going to charge you anything. I'm paid by the carriers I'm contracted with. But ultimately, my job is to provide you as a customer the plan or policy you need that best meets your needs, or at least
Yeah.
what we know of upcoming.
Well, and like you said before, another advantage to working with a broker is you know what options exist. I, as a layperson, do not. And if I do have to phase my benefits the way that you described before, you're going to be able to advise, in what sequence does it make sense to do that. So, yeah, work with a broker.
Well, that and also there might be things you don't think of. As I
Yeah.
said, major medical is really important, but there's
Yeah.
a whole bunch of other things that you may or may not need based off of your specific circumstance. And I get asked all the time, like, is this a good plan? This is a great plan for someone. For you, I don't know. I need to ask you a lot more questions.
Yeah.
Every plan was built with someone in mind, but even on the affordable care marketplace right now in Pima County, we have 84 options in 2023. In 2024, when they release November 1st, I'll have that number. But we have 84 plan options between 4 carriers. And I can guarantee you all those plan options are good for somebody, but it might
Yeah.
not be you or your family.
Yeah.
Um, we
I
have to
do
have that
not want to
conversation.
navigate 84 options by myself. Thank you. I'm good.
I just don't want people to
Try
go to
not to do
healthcare.gov
that.
and go, I'm taking this one. That one, it might be good, but it
Now,
also might not be.
there's also my last question for you are that's about the very murky waters of Medicare, since we are also coming up on Medicare season. So, a lot of my clients are part of the sandwich generation, and they're trying to take care of, or at least give good advice to older parents. What do Gen Xers need to know about Medicare so we can help our family?
So the over 65 health insurance world is one of the time frames that I say definitely find someone that you feel comfortable with as being a broker.
Yeah.
It changes so much and so often based off of what's happening in the system, what's happening in just the world in general, what we learned from the previous year. The the system is constantly changing when it comes to health insurance. It's constantly reinventing and trying to find new things. I strongly recommend that everybody works with somebody that can provide them with some form of guidance. And when it comes to that specifically, I will reference CMS, which is the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. So it's cms.gov. And one of the best resources out there is a book called Medicare and You. And it puts things into lay terms as far as what does like Medicare look like.
Hmm.
So it to me is in real life English. It tells you a lot of the moving pieces and updates you for each individual year as to what Medicare is. So I personally think that's a great resource if you're going to look for something to read involving what coverage looks like at that time.
That is super helpful because it's very stressful. So many people I know who are our generation are raising kids, putting them through college, trying to assist older parents. They are themselves professionals who work, they're running businesses, or they're working for someone else, and they're trying to juggle all of that. And then you put things like Medicare on top of a scale that is already precariously tipping, and there's just only so much like one person can do and one person can absorb. So practical terminology, super helpful.
Well, that and also like when we're talking to that sandwich generation, we're also starting to have a lot more conversations around long-term care.
Yeah.
So what's your plan? There's a lot of people out there, especially in like the financial advisor space, that can have some of the great conversations around what does retirement look like, but is that part of your strategy? because it's not just going to be about health insurance as you age. It's also going to have additional pieces about like, what does it look like for your care plan? What do you want? And are you prepared for that? Like, have you prepared to age in the way that you wish to?
Mhm.
A lot of those conversations people kind of shied away from. And I think that after we just went through 2 years of lockdown, that we're starting to have a lot more of those conversations and different products coming out to show us what it actually can look like and giving us new options. So I
Yeah.
love the fact that that part's actually evolving.
Yeah.
There's new things coming out, and it's a conversation that I hope more people start to have to proactively plan so they can do what they want to
Yeah.
instead of age the way that we've just done before, which is not necessarily planning.
Yes. So kind of run your healthcare the way you should be running your business, which is proactively.
We often envision in business my 5-year plan, my 10-year plan. Where do I
Mhm.
want to be, and how am I going to work to get there?
Yeah.
Uh, like I would love for us to envision that health wise as well. There's things that we can simply not account for. But when we get to certain ages, what does that look like for us? What does aging in place look like? And
Yeah.
there's so many conversations around that we're opening the door for with our generation. And I think that is a phenomenal thing for us to start to mainstream and make more public as far as the conversation.
And I think that is the perfect note to end on. So thank you again for taking the time to answer these questions. I really appreciate it. I hope that this information is helpful to certainly my clients and anyone who is watching. And thanks again for your time and for always being a very generous resource. I deeply appreciate you, Jen.
I love to work with you, Stephanie, and your clients. They're fantastic. Because more than anything, I know that you're there to make sure they're educated and up to date on all the needs that they have. So thank you for the information you provide.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And if anyone has any questions for Jen, I will be sure to drop her contact information in with the notes that go with this video. So thanks again, Jen, and I will see you soon.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too. Bye, guys.